we have started with data types concept. And we have seen that in JavaScript, when it comes to JavaScript, there are totally 8 data types. How many data types we have in the JavaScript? There are totally 8 data types. Okay. Now, all these 8 data types are divided into how many categories? Did you remember that? All the 8 data types are divided into how many categories? Yes, they are divided into 2 categories. What are those 2 categories? Primitive and non-primitive. So we have something like primitive data type and non-primitive data type. Okay. So what are primitive data types in JavaScript? Out of 8, 7 data types comes under primitive data type. Okay. Out of 8, 7 comes under primitive data type. Only 1 data type comes under your non-primitive data type. What are those 7 data types which comes under primitive data type? Means data types like number, string, boolean, okay, undefined, null, begin. Okay. Apart from that, we have something called symbol. We have something called symbol. Okay. So these are the 7 data types that comes under your primitive data type. And all these 7 data types are called predefined, or we can say inbuilt data types of JavaScript. All these above 7 data types are inbuilt data types. Inbuilt data types in JavaScript. Inbuilt means already these data types are created by your JavaScript. Okay, already JavaScript divided certain data into different types. They told, okay, this type, this data belongs to this type. This data belongs to this type. This data belongs to this type. Like this, they have just divided their data into different types. And they have provided us 7 inbuilt data types. And those 7 inbuilt data types we are going to call as a primitive data types. Okay. And all these 7 data types are immutable. Okay. All primitive data types are immutable. Immutable means we cannot change. Cannot change. It means once you create a variable and once you assign some data to that variable, then you cannot change the data. Remember, you cannot change the data. You can reassign the another data to that variable, but we cannot change existing data. That is the meaning of immutable. So all the primitive data types are inbuilt data types. That is the first point. Second point, all primitive data types are immutable. Immutable means once we assign some data to some variable, we cannot change that data. We cannot modify that data. Okay, we can assign new data to that variable or reassign new data to that variable, but we cannot change. What is the meaning of that? For example, let's suppose I have created one variable where a equals to 20, I have told. Now, a is a variable to which I have assigned the data called 20. Okay. Now, what is the data type of a? Means the data type of a is number. Data type of a is number. Now, I cannot change this value. 20 will be always 20 only. 20, I cannot make 21. 20 will be always 21. We cannot make 20 as a 21. We cannot modify the existing data, but I can reassign the data. I can make a equals to 22. Now, this is called reassigning. We are reassigning new data to this variable, but we are not changing the existing data. 20 will be always 20. 20 cannot be changed. Okay, so that is the meaning of reassigning. So don't get confused with reassigning and changing. Changing means 20 we are making like a 22. Okay, reassigning means we are removing the 20 data and we are assigning the new data like a 20. So this is the point what we have to remember related to primitive types. Okay, so what are data types? Data types defines the different type of data. So in every programming language, your data has been divided into multiple types. So when it comes to JavaScript, there are total 8 data types. 8 data types are divided into 2 categories. The first category is primitive data type. Another category is non-primitive data type. Out of 8, 7 comes under primitive data types. Now, what are primitive data types? The data types which are inbuilt by JavaScript. The data types which are created by JavaScript. All those data types we are going to call as a primitive data types. And the data types which cannot be modified. Data types whose value cannot be modified or they are immutable. Such data types we are going to call as a primitive data type. Now, what is non-primitive data type? There is only one data type which we have in JavaScript, which comes under non-primitive, that is object. Object is the data type which comes under your non-primitive data type. And I have seen in lot of documentations or in lot of sessions, people will say array is a data type. Array is a data type. And that is completely wrong. Array is not a data type. Okay, array is not a data type. So this point you have to remember. Array data type is also object only. So we will prove that point also. In lot of interviews or in lot of sessions or in lot of documentations I have seen, people will mention array as a data type. Array is not a data type. So this point you have to remember. Okay, array is not a data type. Array data type is also object only. If you try to find out what is the data type of array, you will find answer is object. Okay, that I will prove it. That point I will prove it. So remember, there are totally 8 data types. Now, what are primitive data types? The data types which are derived from primitive data types. Data type which is derived from primitive data type is called non-primitive data type. Okay, the data whose values can be modified. Data whose values can be modified, or the data which can be modified, or we can say non-primitive data type are mutable data types. Are mutable data types. So what is the difference? The difference is primitive data types are inbuilt data types. Non-primitive data types are derived data types. It means they are not inbuilt data types. Primitive data types are immutable. Immutable means we cannot modify the data. We can replace the data, but we cannot modify the data. In non-primitive, we can replace the data. We can modify the data also. We can modify and we can replace the data also. So this is the difference between your non-primitive and primitive data type. These are the two differences what you have to mention whenever people will ask you what is the difference between non-primitive and primitive data type. Is it clear, guys? Like if you have any doubts, feel free to put your questions on the chat so that I can understand and I can clear your doubts. Is my voice breaking, guys? No, right? Yeah. The people who are facing voice issues, can you guys check from your end as well? Chandrasekhar, can you check from your end once? Now, in case if you are facing same issues, try to leave the session and again rejoin the session. Oh, okay. So these are the points we have to remember. Now let's try to understand what is number type. What is number type, data type? So any data in JavaScript, which you are storing in the form of integers. Okay, it can be positive or negative integers or decimal. Any data which you are storing in the form of integers or decimal, such type of data comes under number type. Okay, examples, suppose if you are storing the ID of any person, suppose you are storing the number of any person, suppose you are storing the percentage of any student. Okay, suppose you are storing the salary of any student, average salary of any student, employee, then everything comes under number type. Any data which is in the form of integers or decimal. Okay, integers or decimal. Those both type of data comes under number type. Those comes under number type. For example, if I create one variable here where something like CT, and if I assign here some number here, suppose I am assigning the code number of certain city. Okay, something like code number, pin code, or some code I have assigned to this variable. Now, if I ask you, what is the data type of this CT variable? What is the data type of this CT variable? It means I am asking in this variable, which type of data I have stored. So which type of data I have stored? It looks like a number. So it is a number type. It is a number type. Okay, any data which is in the form of integer or decimal, or integers can be negative or positive, that comes under your number type of data. Okay, so in JavaScript, we don't have something like int or float. Int or float are the data types which you will find in another programming languages, maybe like C Sharp, maybe in Java, maybe in C++. But in our JavaScript, the data type name is number. Okay, so don't use int or float. Int or float doesn't work in the JavaScript. JavaScript data type is number. Okay, suppose let's try practically. Now, if I go back to my VS Code, if I create here something called data type .js, I just created one JavaScript file. Inside this JavaScript file, we know how to create variables, right? Where and just give some name to your variable like ID equals to assign some data. Suppose I am assigning 101. Now, what is the data type of ID means? It is a number type. If I create another variable where something like percentage. Now here I am saying 56.5%. Okay, so 56.5%. Now this data looks like a decimal. So in this case also, what is the data type of this percentage variable means? This is also number type. Now, do we have any way to find the data type of any variable in JavaScript? Do we have any way to find the data type of any variable? Anybody knows about this? Yes. So there is one special operator. There is one special operator in the JavaScript. Remember, it is a special operator. And the name of that special operator is type of. Using this type of operator, we will be able to identify the data type of a variable. Okay, using this operator, we are able to identify the data type of any variable. We can identify the data type of any variable. Okay, how to identify? Let's see. So if I come back here, let's suppose I want to identify the data type of my ID variable. So what I need to do? I need to just use type of operator. Type of operator space and your variable name. That's it. You have to do type of, you have to use type of operator and then your variable name. Now, if you want to print, the data type of your ID variable in your console area. Console area means for that, we have to click on this 3 dots. There is an option called terminal. Click on new terminal. So this is your console area. Okay, this we are going to call console area. If you want here, you can print some output. So if you want to print some output here, then what we are going to do means we are going to wrap this sentence, this entire sentence we will wrap into one statement called console.log. Console.log. Open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Now, what is this console? What is this log? You will come to know after one session. Okay. So as of now, blindly follow. If you write console.log and inside this parenthesis, if you write this statement, type of ID, if you write this statement, type of ID, then what this console.log will do? Whatever the data type of ID it will be, that value will be printed here. That value will be printed inside this console. Okay. Now just save it. Now, if you come back here, now how to execute this JavaScript file means simply we have to use one command, node space your file name. What is your file name? File name is data type. Just write data type. Now you can execute your JavaScript file. Now, whenever you execute JavaScript file, this line will get executed. Whatever you will write in console.log, it will print inside your console area. Now, if I just say enter here, now see it is printing number here. So basically it is saying that the data type of this ID variable is number type. It is a number. Same data type I can find for percentage also. So simply I will write one more console.log. Now here I will say type of percentage. If I say percentage and if I execute it, now here we got number. So console.log, okay, it is used to print some output in the console area. Using console.log, we can print some output in our console area. How to open this console area? How to open that console area? Beside your run option on the top, okay, here you will find 3 dots. Click on that 3 dots. You will find one option called terminal. Okay, select this terminal. In that, select this new terminal. Or the shortcut is you can use your keyboard also. Control plus shift plus backtick. This is a backtick. Control plus shift plus backtick. If you enter this command, your terminal will open. Now see, the terminal has been opened. Now this area we are going to call as a console area. If you want, you can just print some output in this console area. If you want to print any output in the console area, then we will use something called console.log. Console.log. Okay. Technically, console is one object, log is one function. Now we did not explore object concept and function concept. That is the reason you won't understand it. That is the reason I am saying as of now, blindly follow it. Console.log is used to print some output here. That's it. How to execute your file? Simply we have to use the command node space your file name, data type. Now we got number. Why we got 2 outputs here? Because we have written 2 console statement. This is one console statement. This is another console statement. Is it clear, guys? What is console.log? How to find the data type of any variable? Okay. Extension is not mandatory. Okay. Giving .js extension is not mandatory while executing it. Okay. Now let's come back here. Now this is the first data type. I hope you understood which type of data comes under number type. Is it clear for everyone? Which data types comes under number type? Yes. Now in your JavaScript, any data which we are mentioning in double quotes, any data which we are mentioning in double quotes, or any data which we are mentioning in single quotes, okay, or any data which we are mentioning in backtick. Okay, backtick. All type of data, all this type of data are called string type of data. Any data which we are mentioning in double quotes or single quotes or backtick, such type of data comes under your string type. Those comes under string type. String type means any data which is the combination of multiple character or one character, and which are wrapped inside double quotes or single quotes or backtick. Okay, this is called backtick. And backtick symbol you will find just above your tab button. On your keyboard, you will find one tab button, right? On the left top, on the above the tab button, you will find one backtick button. That is backtick. For example, suppose here I am creating variable var city equals to Hyderabad. Now see, here I have mentioned the data in double quotes. Any data which you are mentioning in double quotes comes under your string type. Suppose if I am mentioning some data in the single quotes, if I am mentioning the data in single quotes, that type of data also comes under your string type only. Any data which I am mentioning in backticks, for example, here I am mentioning like this. Okay, any data, remember, any data, it can be alphabets, it can be numbers also. If you are mentioning the data in backtick or single quote or double quotes, if that type of data comes under your string type only. String type doesn't mean it is just the combination of only alphabets. It can be the combination of alphabets. It can be combination of alphabets plus numbers. It can be the combination of only numbers. Okay, but those data should be mentioned in double quotes or single quotes or in backticks. So any data which is mentioned in any one of this comes under your string type of data. So whenever in your JavaScript, if you are seeing something is mentioned in double quotes or single quotes or backticks, everything comes under your string type. So if I go back here, suppose let me create here var name equals to, let's suppose I am saying here Raj. I am saying here Raj. Okay. Now if I do console.log, if I say type of name, then it will print string type. Now see, here we got string type. Third console. In third console, we got string type. Type of name, string type. Suppose if you use backtick, var city equals to backtick I am using. So here I am using something like Delhi. And if I do console.log, and if I want to find out the data type of my city variable, now still you will find the string only. Now see, here we got string, the string. Okay, so it's a straightforward. Any data, it can be number also. Suppose here if I say like this number. Now see here I am entering number, but I have entered number in the backticks. Now city data type is string. Suppose if I don't add this backticks, now city data type is number. Now it is a number. See, here it is printing number. If I add double quotes, single quotes, or backtick, then it is called stringer type. Now it is a stringer type. Is it clear for everyone? What is the stringer type of data? Okay, great. Now, one more data type we have, that is Boolean type. Okay. Any variable which contains the value true or false. Any variable which contains the value true or false. Such type of data comes under Boolean type. It's very straightforward. We have only two values. Either it can be true or it can be false. True or false. Here we don't have any concept of 0 and 1. Okay. The value should be true or false. Any data or any variable which contains the value as a true or false, such type of variable comes under Boolean type. For example, if I create here var is placed, and if I am assigning here true, okay, I'm saying is placed. And if I am assigning the value true, now what is the data type? What is the data type of this variable? The data type of this variable is Boolean. Same thing like if I want to know the status, like whether the employee is married or not. So here I can store the data like true or false. Sometimes we get a requirement where we can store the data in the form of true or false. If we are storing the data like true or false in certain variable, such type of variable are called Boolean type. Such type of variable is called Boolean type. Okay, so let's see here. So let me just create here one more file, something called boolean.js. Simply create a variable var is placed and assign some value. Now, if you want to find the data type, just do console.log of type of is placed. Okay. Now, if I execute it, how to execute this file? Simply node space file name. File name is Boolean. So just write Boolean. Click on enter. Now see, it is printing Boolean type. It is printing Boolean. Suppose I have one more variable var is married. Now here I am storing false. Now if I try to find out the data type of is married, what will be my answer? If I try to find out the data type of is married variable, what will be my answer? Nice. Why string? Because we have added in double quotes. Okay, why we got string? Because we have added in double quotes. If I don't add in double quotes, Now, what will be the data type? What will be the data type of is married? Yes. Now it will be Boolean. Okay. So any data type or any data which is in the form of true or false called Boolean type. Is it clear for everyone? Boolean type. Now, these are the three data types which we will use 95% in the real time. This 3 plus object. Okay, these are the 4 data types which we will use 95% in the real time. 95% we will use only these 4 data types. What are those 4 data types? Number, string, Boolean, and one more is object. One more is object. Okay. Yeah. Now here you have to understand one point. In JavaScript, there are 2 special values. There are 2 special values. In JavaScript, there are 2 special values, and they are the first one is undefined, and one more is null. So in JavaScript, we have 2 special values. They are considered as a special values, and those special values are undefined and null. And the data type of undefined value is undefined only. The data type name is also undefined only. For null value, the data type is null only. Data type name, value name, both are same. There are 2 special values. The first special value is undefined, and the data type of undefined value is undefined. There is one more special value called null. Data type of null value is null. Okay. So what you can do, you can just create a variable. You can create a variable like this, var something like cd, and you can assign one special value, and that special value is undefined. In the same way, we can create one more variable, and we can assign one special value called null. Okay, when to assign undefined, when to assign null, that we will learn afterwards. As of now, here what you have to focus, that there are 2 special values. One is undefined, one more is null. Okay, now if I try to find out the data type of this CT, and if I try to find the data type of this state, then what it will print, let's see. Okay, node undefined underscore null. Now see, the first data type, the data type of CT is undefined only, and data type of null. So basically what is printing? Object, but actually it should be null only. Here it is printing object, but actually the data type of null is null only. Okay, it should be null only. Okay, these are 2 special values. Remember, these are 2 special values. These are 2 special values. In JavaScript, there are 2 special values, and they are undefined and null. Yeah. Now the question is why it is printing here object. Anybody knows why it is printing here object? Yeah. The answer is in JavaScript, null value is considered as an object. So in JavaScript, okay, null represents one object. Okay, and this special object is a primitive type. This special value called object, which is a primitive type. And the data type of that object value is null. So this is little bit contradicting, but this is what the concept given by your JavaScript. In JavaScript, null value, this null value is there, right? This is a special value. So basically null represents one object. Null represents one object value, okay? Object value, remember. And this object value is one primitive type. That is one primitive type. And that primitive type comes under your null type. Comes under your null type. Comes under your null type. So this is why here it is printing object. And this is one of the famous interview question. In your interviews, they will ask, okay, if I try to create one variable and if I assign the value null, and if I try to find out the type of that particular variable, so what it will print, whether it will print null or it will print object. Now, if you say null, it means you don't know the answer. And if you say object, then the next question will be why object? If the data type of null is null, then why it is printing object? So the answer is this is a special data type or special value which represents one special object. And that is the reason whenever you are trying to find out, use the type of operator, at that time it will print the value as a object instead of printing as a null. Okay. Yeah. So these are the two special values. A lot of people will get confused here, and this is what the JavaScript has given. We cannot change that part. So there are few rules in JavaScript which you have to blindly follow. You cannot question why like that. Now we cannot question them why null type is object value. They did not give any answer for that. They simply told that null is a special value which represents one special object. That's it. Okay, so this is why JavaScript JavaScript is little confusion language when compared to another programming languages. Like Java is very straightforward. There everything we have the reason for everything. But in JavaScript, there are certain points for which we don't have the reasons. So while developing the JavaScript, they have done some mistakes. And those mistakes, now they are not correcting. Why they are not correcting? Because already all these concepts are used by lot of applications. So if they try to correct it, then it will affect all the old applications. That is the reason it is said that in JavaScript, whatever it was defined, let it be like that only. So this point you have to remember. Very, 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 very important point. So whenever you try to find out the data type of null variable, then it will print object instead of printing the null. Now we have one more data type, that is big int. So any data which is greater than 2 power 53 minus 1, 2 power 53 minus 1. Any value which is greater than 2 power 53 minus 1. That value comes under your big int. Okay, so any value which is greater than 2 power 53 minus 1. 2 power 53 minus 1 comes under big int type. So huge value, the value in which the value in front of which we will use n, those comes under your big int type. Those comes under your big int type. So we don't do that much big calculations. I have never done that much big calculation, but as per documentation, as per JavaScript, any value which is greater than 2 power 53 minus 1, that comes under big int. Any value which is less than 2 power 53 minus 1, that comes under number type. Greater than 2 power 53 minus 1 comes under big int type. Less than 2 power 53 minus 1 comes under number type. Okay, if you want to do very complex and very big calculations, then in that case, big int will be taken as a consider. So this data type will be taken in the consider. So in my experience, I have never done such big calculations. So maybe once you start working, maybe you guys get the requirement where you might be doing a lot of big calculations if you are working on some XYZ projects. But remember, any value which exceeds more than 2 power 53 minus 1, that comes under big int type. Okay, so any data which is in the form of integers and decimal and which is less than 2 power 53 minus 1 comes under number type. Any data which is in double quotes, single quotes or backticks comes under string type. Any data which is displayed in the form of true or false comes under Boolean type. Any data which is defined as undefined comes under undefined. The data which is defined as null, actually they are null. And any data which is greater than 2 power 53 minus 1, that comes under your big int type. And one more data type we have, that is symbol. Any data which is created using symbol constructor. Any data which is created using symbol constructor comes under symbol type. Now in our JavaScript, we can create some special values. In JavaScript, we can create some special values, and those special values we have to create by taking the help of one special constructor in JavaScript, that is symbol. Okay, so as of now, you guys don't know what is the meaning of constructor, so you won't understand symbol data type. So as of now, you just remember any data which is created using symbol constructor. Such type of data comes under symbol type. So we will discuss about symbol type in detail once we know the concepts of object-oriented programming. So once we start with object-oriented programming in JavaScript, there we will discuss the concepts like class, objects, constructors. So once we understand about constructor concept, here I will explain you guys about the symbol data type. Because that makes more sense to understand symbol data type once we know the constructor. Now, if I try to explain, everything will go out of your head. First of all, you don't know what is constructor. If you don't know what is constructor, you won't understand what is symbol data type. So once we know the constructor, then I will show you how to create that special values, when to create that special values, why to create those special values, where to use those special values. Those things we will discuss. And there you will get clear-cut picture about this symbol constructor. Sorry, symbol data type and symbol constructor as well. So this is what you have to remember as of now related to symbol data type. Is it clear now? What are symbol data type? What is begin data type? What is undefined null, boolean, string, and number? So all these 7 data types I have covered here. Okay. Yeah. Now, last data type is object. Okay. To any variable, if you are assigning array or an object, to any variable, if you are assigning array or object, that variable comes under object type. To any variable, if we are assigning object or array, that comes under object type. Suppose if I create here a variable var name, and if I assign here one object like this, this is how we assign the object to our variable. Suppose if I create one more variable var users, and if I assign array, so this is how we assign the array in JavaScript. So if I am assigning like this array or object, then the data type of this variables is object type. The data type of this variable is object. Whether you assign object or array, both comes under object type only. Both comes under object type only. For example, if I just create here object type.js. Now here, suppose I am creating a variable var name, and here I am assigning one object. Okay. Now forget about what I am writing here, because you don't know what is object. Okay, this is one object, and this object I am assigning to one variable. Now if I ask you what is the data type of this variable, means it is an object type. Console.log type of name. If I just try to find out object type, it is like object. Okay. In the same way, I can have one more variable where I can store some array here. Okay, I created one array, and that array I am assigning to one variable. Now, if I try to find out the data type of this variable, like what type of data I have stored, then it is like object type. Type of something like users. Now see, here we got object, here we got object. So remember, if you are assigning or any data which is your array type or any data which is in the object types, those comes under object type only. Those comes under object type only. And this object type is non-primitive data type. This is non-primitive data type. Yeah, Pratik, just wait, just focus on what I'm teaching, guys. Don't rush. If you rush, you won't understand anything. Okay, forget about other languages. Don't compare other languages when you are studying JavaScript. If you compare other languages, then you will get confused. So when we are focusing on JavaScript, let's focus only on JavaScript. Okay. So concepts will change. Data type concept will change programming language to programming language. That is the reason you don't compare JavaScript with Java, Java with C#, Python with JavaScript. If you start comparing, you will get confused completely. Okay. Every language has its own rules. They have its own concept. So object is the data type which we have in JavaScript. Now, I don't know whether you have the object data type in Java, Python, C# or something. But in JavaScript, we have the data type called object. And any object value or array value, if you are assigning to variable, then this object and array type is called object type. Both are called object type. So your value name is also object, data type name is also object. Value name is array, data type is object. So a lot of people will say array type is array. They answer array, and that is completely wrong. If you say array type is array, you are completely rejected. You are directly rejected. They will not ask even any other questions. Even if they are asking the questions, they will not consider those answers, whatever you have answered. So these are like basics. So object type is object, array type is also object. Okay, so these are some of the rules which we have to remember, which are little contradicting, but yes, we have to remember this is what the concept of JavaScript. So these are the 8 data types we have in JavaScript. Okay, is it clear for everyone? Understood all the 8 data types? Which type of data is called, which type of data type belongs to which data type? Are you guys able to recognize not? Are you guys able to recognize which data is of which type now? Okay, so little bit contradicting. Okay, little bit you have to study, a little bit you have to remember blindly. There is no other way. We have to remember those things because this is what programming language has been defined. So we have to follow blindly those concepts now. Now, if you ask me why JavaScript has only 8 types, why array data type is object, if you ask me like that questions, then I don't have the answer. We have to go and we have to ask the JavaScript inventor. And he is not present, or he is present, like I'm not sure. So we have to go and ask him. Okay. So all this information given in their documentation, so we have to follow. For example, in our India, whenever you are driving, so you should drive on which side? Whenever you are driving on the road, you should drive on which side? Right side or left side? Now, why left? Why not right? Why can't we drive on the right? If you drive on the right, is there any issue? Yes, it is a guideline. It is a rule. We have to follow blindly. We cannot question that, right? We cannot change that. So like this, while learning certain programming languages, while learning certain technology, we have to follow some rules. Okay, for some rules, there are specific reasons. For some rules, there are no reasons. We have to just follow it because this is how they have built it. That is how they have built it. That is the reason we have to follow those rules. Okay, so in foreign countries, I think they will drive on the right side, right? But in our India, we will drive on the left side. And if you see our steering in our cars, the steering will be on the right side or left side in India. In your car, the steering will be on which side? Right side. And in foreign countries, steering will be on left side. Now they have their rules, we have our rules. Okay, this is how they have created. Yeah, this is your data type concept. Now the next important concept what we have to explore is very important concept. I can say this is the second most important concept in your entire JavaScript, and that concept is functions. We have to understand about functions in JavaScript. What are functions in JavaScript? We need to understand what are parameterized functions. We have to understand what are return functions. And while understanding about return function, we have to understand about return keyword. There is something called return keyword in your JavaScript. We have to understand about return keyword. In the same way, we have to understand about something called anonymous function. We have to understand about callback function. We have to understand about higher order function. And in the same way, we have to understand about arrow function. Okay, these are the different topics we have to understand about functions. And it's a very important concept, because function concept we will use in our entire JavaScript. Once we understood function concept, we will use function concept in our entire React. While learning React, there is no session where we will not use function concept. While exploring the concepts like Node.js, Express.js, MongoDB, there also each and every day we will be encountering function concept. So such an important concept is this function. Okay, so everybody need to understand function concept, and you have to understand each and everything in the function. So once we have done with functions, then I will explain you about objects in JavaScript. What is object? How to create object? How to store the data in object? How to update the data in object? So many things we will study about objects in the JavaScript. It is the most important topic in your entire JavaScript, in your entire MERN stack or mean stack or JavaScript full stack or UI full stack. Object is the most important concept. After object, I feel function is the most important concept. Most important concept, personally, I feel object. After that, functions. And once we have done with the objects, then we will explore arrays. Arrays and arrays methods. Array methods. Then string and string methods. Then selection statements. Selection statements like if, else, else if, switch. These are the selection statements that we will explore. Once we have done with the selection statements, we will explore about loops. Now, can you guys tell me how many loops we have in JavaScript? How many loops we have in JavaScript? Yeah, there are totally 5 loops: while, do while, for off, for in. Okay, there are 5 loops what we are going to explore. Now, once we have done with all these topics, then we are done with the basics of JavaScript. Once we have done with all these topics, then we are done with the basics of JavaScript. We are done with the basics of JavaScript. Okay. Now, once you know the basics of JavaScript, then if you want, you guys can start learning. You guys can start learning the technologies like React, Angular, Node.js, Express.js, MongoDB. So these are the technologies which you guys can start learning. You can just start learning these technologies. Okay. Meanwhile, parallelly, you have to learn advanced JavaScript. Advanced JavaScript. Don't ignore advanced JavaScript. If you are learning all these technologies, once you have done with the basics of JavaScript, you can just start with them. Because whenever you are learning these technologies, first 2 weeks, they will teach you the basics. They will teach you the basics of those technologies. Okay. So meanwhile, they cover the basics of these technologies. We will finish with advanced concepts of JavaScript. We will finish advanced concepts of JavaScript. And once you are done with the advanced concepts of JavaScript, then you can learn all the advanced concepts, basic concepts of all these technologies. You will understand each and everything. Okay. So first we will finish the basics of JavaScript. Then we will move towards the advanced concepts of JavaScript. Advanced concepts like promises, fetch, closures, DOM, events, right? Your prototypes, object-oriented programming, call, apply, bind. Okay. What are lexical scope? Okay. What is execution context? How JavaScript engine works? How internally JavaScript works? Those all the things we are going to see in the advanced JavaScript. Like what is spread operator, module concept, what is export import, what is destructuring, all those important concepts, what are advanced concepts, we will learn in the advanced JavaScript. Okay, great. Okay, very soon I will be starting the React batch, guys, in the morning. I will be starting React batch in the morning. That is the reason I want you guys to at least we finish the basics of JavaScript. Once we're done with the basics of JavaScript, if you guys want, you guys can just learn React. Okay. So whenever React batch will start, I will let you know. Personally, I will let you know in this batch. Okay. So once I know, if you are interested, then you guys can join React.js. And while learning React.js, we should not feel any difficulties. That is the reason I want to cover these basics as soon as possible, so that comfortably you can learn React. You can learn with me, or you can learn with any faculty that you like. You can learn Angular as well parallelly with any of the trainer. Okay. So once we have done with this basics. Now, the people who are new, for them, I will be uploading my entire code inside this repository. All the notes and code will be uploaded inside this repository. And I will give you the syllabus of this JavaScript also. So let me give the syllabus also, so that you guys will have entire syllabus. So I will cover more than the syllabus, guys. Okay, whatever I have mentioned in the syllabus, those are the minimum topics I will cover. Apart from that, if time permits, I will cover some extra concepts also. If you guys don't force me to finish the batch, then I will cover some extra concepts which are not mentioned in the syllabus. But the concepts which I have mentioned in the syllabus, all will be covered. Including HTML, CSS, whatever topics are pending, all those will be covered. Once I tell you that, okay, we have done with our UI technology batch, at that time, if any topic is pending, which I have mentioned in syllabus, but not covered, then you guys have the rights to question me. Okay. So this is the reason I am giving the entire syllabus to you. So suppose by mistake, if I miss something, then you guys can make me remember like what are the topics I have missed. So I'm pretty sure once we have done with the JavaScript, you will be able to clear any interview in JavaScript. Yeah, that's all guys for today's session. So freshly, we will start the functions concept. So very important concept. So I would request everyone to join the session by 5:30 so that I can start the session by 5:35. Okay, and you will not miss all these topics. So tomorrow entire session, I think functions only it will take. Once we have done with this, then we will move towards these concepts. Yeah, that's all guys.